After bringing Tu Tien back to the village and witnessing her emotional reunion with her long-lost relatives, Jack couldn't find peace. Though the joy of rediscovery filled their hearts, a lingering question remained in his mind. Who exactly was Tu Tien's biological father, and where was he now? The vague accounts from the villagers weren't enough to ease his concerns. Determined to uncover the truth, Jack began his own investigation. He started by inquiring at the local administration. After days of digging through records, Jack found a name: Tran Van Lam, a former district-level construction officer who had been disciplined and dismissed nearly 20 years ago. The name matched what old Mr. Nam had mentioned, and interestingly, the archived files indicated he once had a wife and a young daughter, both presumed lost in a mountain landslide. Afterward, Lam vanished without a trace. Jack followed this lead to a remote highland town where Lam had lived temporarily after the accident. There, he met an old mechanic named Tao, a former acquaintance of Lam. Tao recalled, he lived quietly, barely spoke, and often drank himself numb. Once he broke down and said he'd lost his wife and child. He had nothing left to live for. But strangely, a few years later, he started traveling back and forth to the city. I asked, but he only said, "They've got me roped in. I can't say no." That statement made Jack even more suspicious. With help from a contact in the security sector, he discovered Lam's current residence, a shabby boarding house on the outskirts of the city. When Jack met the now frail and aged man, he immediately knew this was Tu Tien's father. But what shocked him even more was Lam's fearful and guarded reaction. It took days for Jack to convince him that he wasn't there to harm but to help, especially to give Tu Tien closure. Finally, Lam opened up, and what he confessed left Jack stunned. After the accident, Lam choked up. "I thought my little girl was dead. I left, trying to survive. But I was foolish. I borrowed money, about 600 million VND, from a man named Thiet to start a small carpentry workshop. It failed. I couldn't pay him back. Then he began to force me into dirty work. He knew I had a background in construction, so he pulled me into his shady projects, skimming budgets, faking reports, altering blueprints. I had no choice." Tears welled up in Lam's eyes. Then it got worse. When he found out I had a daughter who was looking for me, he ordered me to track her. I refused. He threatened to eliminate us both. I was forced. I almost gave up her location, but I couldn't. I ran away. I've been hiding in shame ever since. Jack clenched his fists. The name Thiet wasn't unfamiliar. Deputy Director Thiet, a board member at Jack's company. Jack had long suspected him of shady dealings. Now the full picture emerged. Thiet wasn't only exploiting Lam, he was also actively trying to destroy Jack and Tu Tien. Jack immediately began gathering evidence. With help from his friend in security, he dug into past construction projects Thiet had handled. Sure enough, many showed signs of fraud: cheap materials, inflated costs, delayed timelines covered up by fake reports. Shell companies linked to project invoices surfaced. Jack then contacted the company's internal audit division. handing over the information and asking for secrecy. An internal investigation was discreetly launched under the guise of a routine inspection. Meanwhile, Jack became increasingly cautious. He knew Thiot wouldn't go down without a fight. And true to form, trouble followed. Jack noticed he was being tailed. His car brakes were tampered with, and someone broke into his personal records. One day, Tu Tien was nearly hit by a car while shopping. Jack knew it was no accident. Unable to let things escalate, Jack arranged a secret meeting with Lam and pleaded with him to testify. At first, Lam refused, saying he was too cowardly. But when Jack showed him a photo of Tu Tien smiling with her family in the village, something changed in Lam's eyes. After years of running, perhaps it was time to stand up for his daughter. In the end, Lam agreed. With his testimony, Jack's evidence, and verified documents from internal sources, Thiot was suspended for investigation. Authorities quickly picked up the case. Multiple violations surfaced: corruption, embezzlement, and abuse of power. A hidden web of corporate crime began to unravel. Jack, once a target, was now the whistleblower. When Tu Tien learned the truth, she wept. She had never imagined her father had lived under such threat and guilt. But what moved her most was that in her most dangerous moment, he had chosen to protect her. She went to see him and embraced him tightly. Lam's hands trembled as he placed them on her shoulders, whispering, "I'm sorry. I'm home now." Jack stood quietly nearby, watching the reunion. Peace washed over him. At long last, the truth had been uncovered, and most importantly, after uncovering the full truth about the relationship between Tu Tien's father and Vice Director Thiot, Jack couldn't rest easy knowing that Mr. Lam, her unfortunate father, was still living in a run-down rented room, ill, and constantly haunted by fear and the debt he still owed. Although Thiot had been suspended and placed under investigation, Jack knew too well that someone like him wouldn't give up easily. Only by completely cutting ties could Tu Tien and her father truly live in peace. One afternoon, after wrapping up work at the company, Jack quietly returned to the shabby neighborhood. Mr. Lam was surprised to see him, but this time, Jack's eyes weren't just filled with sympathy. They were filled with resolve. "I want to bring you to the farm," Jack said gently. "It's quiet there. You'll be able to live comfortably, without anyone bothering you." Mr. Lam was stunned, overcome with emotion, and could only look at Jack in silence. He had never dared to dream of a place like that, a place where peace could be real, after so many years of fear and guilt. Jack's pickup truck quietly rolled down the countryside roads, the wind blowing gently through the windows. When they turned onto the dirt path leading to the farm, the same farm where Tu Tien and Jack had built so many memories, Mr. Lam suddenly wept. The lines of worry on his face softened. He said nothing, only stepped out of the truck slowly, taking in the shady garden, the clean barns, and the warm wooden house Jack had restored for Tu Tien. Tu Tien came out from the house, and when she saw her father standing there, she burst into tears, running to embrace him. Their tears blended, not from sorrow, but from reunion. That evening, Jack sat with Tu Tien on the porch under a sky full of stars. He quietly took a thick envelope from his pocket and handed it to her. Tu Tien, this is the full amount your father owed Thiet. I had someone verify the debt records. Even though Thiet is under investigation, this debt still exists on paper. If we don't settle it now, someone from his circle might come back one day to use it against you. Tu Tien opened the envelope and was shocked to see over 600 million VND inside. You're using your own money, she choked. Jack smiled. From the moment I chose to be part of your life, your pain and struggles became mine too. This money means nothing compared to the peace that you and your father deserve. And I believe one day, he'll stand strong again and start over. Tu Tien sat silently for a long while. She held Jack's hand, her eyes filled with tears. I don't know how to thank you enough. You didn't just save me from darkness. You brought my father back into the light. The next morning, Jack and Tu Tien went to meet the legal representative who managed Mr. Lam's debt, a middleman once employed by Thiet. After completing the payment process, Jack carefully requested formal documentation confirming that the debt had been fully repaid and that Mr. Lam had no further obligations related to Thiet. Leaving the law office, the three returned to the farm. The air felt lighter. Mr. Lam sat under the big mango tree, holding a cup of hot tea, his gaze distant but no longer burdened. Tu Tien cleaned and redecorated the small room Jack had prepared for her father and planted flowers by the window. Jack began designing a small garden plot so Mr. Lam could care for it, a way to live out his later years with peace and purpose. From then on, every morning, the three of them had breakfast together on the porch, sharing simple, everyday stories. Mr. Lam, though still quiet, had started to smile more. Tu Tien felt her heart lighter than ever, and Jack, always the one quietly protecting and supporting, remained her steady anchor. They didn't need anything extravagant. Just waking up each day, seeing each other safe and well, that was enough. And no matter how many storms life might bring, Jack would always be there, like a guiding light for the ones he loved.